Hey guys, today we will be doing my Home Depot 2020 Halloween 2024 review. We got a lot of stuff to review this year, so let's get into it. There is a new clown this year called Carnival Carl, and I think he's really cool. Because he's like 8.5 feet tall, which is really tall, so I may have to look into him. But yeah, overall, really cool prop for Carnival Carl. Then we have this Frankenstein guy. I'm just going over, like my favorites because there's like 20 to 30 props this year. Also the Frankenstein looks sick. I mean, just the blinking and all that stuff is just really, really epic. So yeah, the Frankenstein prop also is very sick. And one thing that I do like about Home Depot this year is they're incorporating a lot of servos into their props, which is very, very nice. It makes them look like Disney quality props when they're only like $250. Because back then, that you could only get a prop like that for like $1,000 and above from Disney. So yeah, and then we have Captain Cuts. It's another one of my favorites. So Captain Cuts is pretty cool because again, he's one of those ones that uses servo motion with his eyes, his head, his body moves. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then the 12-foot skeleton this year is also really cool since it has the option to change the LCD eyes, which I think is just super cool. And especially you can do it with the dog too, which is really nice. The dog, however, I don't like as much. I think it looks a bit strange, but yeah. There's another prop this year called like the Clown Stack or whatever. And if you bought Carnival Carl and like the Clown Stack, I think would go really good together, except I'm not a big fan of the Clown Stack, considering that the clowns just don't look realistic at all, and I just don't think it looks very good. Stacked together they look alright, but it looks like most of the parts in them may be posable, so that's pretty cool. But yeah. And then they have a Nosferatu / Victorian vampire, but we all know it's Nosferatu. Guy, but he is just called the Victorian Reaper. And, no, he's called the Victorian vampire. But he basically, if I were you, I do like him. I just don't. I think the Boogeyman is better, put it that way. The Boogeyman and him are very similar. I think they're both 8 feet. They both have the same kind of motion. So, they're very similar to each other. And honestly, I think you're better off buying the Boogeyman because it's just creepier and more cool. But we're not going to talk about 2023. We're talking about 2024. Another one that I love is the Chucky one, because this is the best. I mean, come on. This is a really good Chucky prop. People are going to be astonished at this. It's 3 feet tall, and it is $200. But it uses servos, so it has, like, blinking eyes. It smiles. The head moves. I think it roams around or something. The knife moves. So there's a lot of motion packed into this little 3-foot prop. But yeah, I do, again, for the people that are saying $200 is steep, I agree. Maybe more like $180. Not $150. It's too much put in for $150. That'd be too cheap. Probably more like $180, $179.99 than $200. But it's a bit of a steep asking price that they're asking for this guy. But overall, I think it doesn't matter. Next prop we have is that Plague Doctor this year. And I do think he's cool. I just don't like, and the Pixelated Pumpkin said this too, so shout out to him. I don't like the LED like wires that they put around him because it just makes him look unrealistic. I just wish they took them off, and I'm sure there probably is a way you can take them off. Just cut them off. If you wanted to do that, and I don't think it'll affect the prop at all. But yeah, I just don't like that about him. I just think it looks a bit wonky and weird. And then the next one is the 12-foot like Flaming Reaper or whatever, and I think this guy is really sick. Number one, he's a 12-foot prop. Number two, they're only asking $200 for this. I mean, not $200 for this guy. $300 for this guy, which in reality, that is a lot. But for a 12-foot prop that moves, that at Party City, this thing would be like $500, all right? Home Depot is keeping it cheap this year, and I love that. So, yeah, that is pretty sick. And I think it may be the best one this year. I'm not kidding. This thing is really, really cool. Next, we have this tiny little, like, we're getting into the witches now. Next, we have this, like, tiny little Dinky Bobby Strings witch. The witch seems to be, like, 2 feet tall, and I don't like that. The whole prop is, like, 6 feet tall. It just looks ugly. Bobby Strings from the theme pictures and from the online pictures already looks 100 times better. This thing just doesn't look good at all. And then we have, for the 150th time in Home Depot history, the Spellcasting Witch. They use this name so much, like, it's not even funny. But I do like these witches. It's an unpopular opinion. I do like them, though. And I think for only $100 each year, you're getting a lot. Again, they are just a classic, like, Jemmy/Morris costume as witch. But, I mean, what do you, I mean, seasonal visions, not Morris costumes. But again, what do you expect? For $100, they're not gonna be good, okay? Like, come on, guys. And then we have, there may be a couple that I'm forgetting, but this is one of them that I remember. This scarecrow guy with, like, the hat, I can't remember his name, but he's, like, the Soul Stealer's husband. He's called the Soul Slasher. I think this guy's cool, but I like the Soul Stealer better. But get this, both of them are only $100, which is an awesome asking price for these things. But, again, I'm not a fan of the stitched up face. It looks a bit cartoony on both of them, and I just don't think these are good. But I think the Soul Stealer is better than the Soul Slasher. I think that's what her name is. I think it's the Soul Stealer. Or maybe it's the Soul Sitter. I don't know. But, yeah, I think she's better. The girl version is better. I just think she looks better. But yeah, I do like this guy too. I think the hand pointing motion is, kind of cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think there are a couple ones that I am forgetting. I'm trying to think though. What am I forgetting? What am I possibly missing? Oh, yeah. I'm missing the Deadwood Skeleton, 12-foot Deadwood Skeleton. Now, I like this guy, but it's an Inferno Pumpkin reskin, and I like the Inferno Pumpkin as well. And especially for, like, $380, I do think this guy's cool. I actually kind of think he may be a little bit cooler than Inferno Pumpkin. Because I just think the blackened color is just cooler than the brown with orange. And especially if you put on that, like, blue light, that's really sick. And then we have that, like, tree static prop. Again, I'm not a fan of this one. I don't like spooky trees, and especially for $200 just for a static prop. That's a pretty high asking price. It should be more like 150. But yeah, it's 200. So yeah, I'm just not a big fan of this one. I think it's just not very good. Next we have that like bubbling cauldron, and again, this one I think is kind of cartoony with how light the colors are. It looks kind of just fake. And I just wish they brought back the hanging cauldron if they were gonna do a cauldron. Okay, next we have the 3-foot Inferno pumpkin skeleton guy. So this guy is cool, don't get me wrong, but he's scarier as a 12-foot prop. So I think 3-foot props make him less intimidating than a 12-foot prop would make him. So yeah, this one just isn't great. Next, we have the Servo 12-foot skeleton. I think it's really cool that they're bringing servos to the 12-foot props too, and I think this is a really cool addition. And again, you can just change the eye colors too. So yeah, this is really sick. Next, we have the 12-foot skeleton head. Now, this is just like a mad, like evil skeleton head, which I think is really cool, and it makes your 12-foot skeleton creepier.